and she's worked on animations such as Adventure Time and the My Little Pony movie. Are you guys familiar with that? She's illustrated all of the Wings of Fire covers, all of the books, and she's the illustrator of books such as Mustache Baby and Mustache Baby Meets His Match. She's from Seattle. Please, let's give a big fan thing welcome to Joy A. Brown. I know, I can't believe it either. Have you had a chance to walk around?
I have, yeah.
What has been your favorite thing that you've seen so far?
Oh my gosh, probably the wall of fan art.
The wall of fan art, that's an appropriate answer. Who needs some fan art out there? Anybody? There you go. Now, it's crazy to think that an event as big as this has started from one book so long ago. So I'd like to ask you, how did you start working for Wings of Fire?
So the way I started was, I worked with my art director, Phil Falco, who's from Scholastic, on a previous book series called Dogs of the Drowned City. And then when that wrapped up, he said, hey, do you think you could do some art tests for this new book series about dragons? And I did the art test, and the rest is history.
Well, it's no shock that the art test passed, because your artwork is amazing. It's posted everywhere out there. I'm sure we've all taken photos with it. We're all very familiar with it. What has it been like to have the opportunity to bring the Wings of Fire world to life?
Oh my gosh, it's been a dream come true. I love drawing dragons, and I love working with environments full of nature, and that's pretty much what every cover is.
That's very true. So I noticed when I read the book, it was so cool to read the story and see the cover, and as I'm reading more of the story, the cover is starting to make more sense. And I think that's a really talented thing that you're able to do, is capture the stories and put it down on paper, add color to it, add life to it. Do you and Tui collaborate on the photos? How does that work?
Yeah, so we collaborate through our art director, but a lot of the initial ideas are all Tui's. And then I go from there. I sketch out a bunch of thumbnails, give her a bunch of directions, and then she gets to choose which one she likes best. And she's constantly giving feedback throughout the thing, so yeah, it's quite collaborative.
So basically what you're saying is there are several Wings of Fire covers that we've never seen.
Lots.
Lots. If you put a number on it, it's like between 5 and 10, more maybe?
I would say there's like 2 to 3 options that
I've
just never seen, but they're all in the sketchy phase.
They're all in the sketchy phase. Well, you do an amazing job. We're all very big fans of your work. This is going to be a really hard answer for you to give, I think. And it's going to be hard for all of us to answer. It's hard for me to answer myself. There's 15 books, and there's a 16th book coming out soon. Yeah, I know we're excited about it, right? So, Joy, do you have a favorite cover or a favorite dragon that you've worked on or illustrated?
Yes, to both. My favorite cover is the Darkstalker cover.
Okay, makes sense. What has been your biggest surprise or maybe challenge working on Wings of Fire?
I think the biggest challenge would be, just because I've worked on it for 15 years or more at this point.
Wow.
My art style, I feel, has grown a lot in that time. And so when I started, I was just in my mid-20s. I'm like almost 40 now. So my style has changed a lot, and it's just trying to keep consistency, but also wanting to change some of the things, just because my art has grown in that time.
That makes sense. I can tell, as a fan myself, the art gets so much better as it goes on, but that's to say the beginning is so amazing. I mean, it's no wonder why they picked you for this series. You do an excellent job at painting these stories and bringing them to life. So congratulations on how far you've come. 15 years, that's a lot. Let's hear it for Joy, guys. What has been, if you can think of one, narrow it down to one, your favorite interaction with a Wings of Fire fan?
My favorite interaction would probably be, is actually with someone online, and they just messaged me asking, would I like anything, would I like some credit when people use my line art and when they color them? And I said, not necessary, but if I remember, not necessary, but like I always appreciate it if you do credit my line art. And then I think that was posted somewhere, and now I feel like most of the people who do fan art always credit me, and I think that's just so sweet. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. So fan art, they credit you. Fan art is such a big part of this culture. Who makes fan art out there? Anybody make fan art? I see a lot of hands out here. So it's interesting to me that you have almost garnered your own style. So when they make fan art, they're going off of Joy Eng's style. So what has it been like to see so many fans embrace your art and create their own interpretations?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of unbelievable. Like, when I was young, I was the one looking at the covers and like copying it and doing it in my own way. And now for other kids to be doing that, it's just, I can't really fathom it.
Yeah.
I also feel like some of you are going to take my job someday.
Well, I don't know about that. You're pretty hard to replace. So Joy, so clearly you like the fan art. Have you ever made fan art for a series that maybe you were into?
Yeah, there's this book. It's from the 80s or 90s. They're the Serendipity series, and they all just kind of feature different characters like unicorns and dragons too. That person knows. But that was really inspirational for me, and it's how I learned how to draw. Really, it's from the artist.
That's very interesting. So you did draw dragons. Did you know from a young age that dragons were going to be such a big staple in your career?
I never thought it would be such a big staple, but honestly, it's a pretty big dream come true. I love drawing dragons, and so I get to do it all the time.
It's pretty impressive. So obviously we had a show of hands of who made fan art. Do you have any advice, Joy, for somebody who might be out here right now that they like art, they're young and they've been having this big dream of being a career as an illustrator? Do you have any advice for somebody out here?
Yeah, I would say, keep practicing, draw from references from real life, and when you can get social media, your parents are okay with it. Start focusing your work, connect with other people, your age and your community, and just build your work together out there.
That's a great answer. What about, and this is myself included, I hate to admit it, what if you're somebody who likes drawing but you've had creative rut? You've had a hard time getting out of a maybe writer's block or creative rut. What would your advice be for somebody like that?
I actually just experienced my own creative rut during the pandemic. I just didn't feel like doing anything personal for maybe 2 years. And so I kind of turned to what brought me joy, and for me at the time it was gardening. So I just did a lot of gardening, and I felt like that kind of filled my cup up again, and I was able to return to art. And then I came with new ideas and just more inspiration.
That is a great answer. So did you use your gardening when you were drawing leaf wings? Did you use that as inspiration?
I did, actually.
There you go, there you have it. All right, I got one final question, and it's a very tricky one, Joy. Good luck. What is your favorite thing to draw?
My favorite thing to draw is unicorns.
Unicorns!
And then dragons.
Dragon second. That is an amazing answer. Joy, it's been great getting to know you. Let's hear it one more time for Joy. In just a few moments, we're going to have another special guest, so don't go anywhere. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be right back. Give a warm, fan-made welcome to the myth, the legend, the queen of Wings of Fire, Tui T Sutherland.
It's an gosh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm just like, it's incredible to see all your costumes and all your art and like just how wonderful the energy is with all of you. It's been so much fun for me. I hope you guys are having fun too. And I know that there are many future authors in this audience. I'm very excited to read all of your books one day. I find it like really hopeful and reassuring that there are this many people who care about books and reading and who love to create art and writing, because it gives me hope for the future that we will that we don't have to end up in a world where like computer programs write all our stories and make all our art. So thank you for writing that. So thank you for existing and giving me that hope. Because I really believe that like books and stories written by humans are like how we build empathy and learn to understand other people and ourselves. Like there's this wonderful line in Kazuo Ishiguro's Nobel Prize lecture where he says, stories are about one person saying to another, this is the way it feels to me. Can you understand what I'm saying? Does it also feel this way to you? And like, it's so magical to me to get to talk to you guys and hear you say like, yeah, I do understand. Like, even, you know, I thought it was just me, but it's not, it's all of us, you know? Like whether I'm writing as Sunny, like nobody listens to me, or I want to help, but it's safer under this rock as Turtle, or I'm so furious at all the things that are wrong and unfair as Sundu, or as Peril. I find people confusing. It's like, I'm always hoping that someone out there will be like, yeah, me too, I get it. That's how I feel. So, you know, finding yourself in a character can help you feel like you belong in this world. And equally importantly, I think, reading characters who aren't like you and realizing, oh, that's what it's like. That's how it feels to them is like another kind of magic. And I think that's where empathy comes from, is reading and stories. And so I just wanted to let you know that like, this is all really important to me. And so I'm donating my part of the proceeds from the merch sales to a group called We Need Diverse Books, and especially to their specifically to their like Books Save Lives grants, which are going to support libraries at schools in the states that I'm visiting, because I love their mission of building diverse book collections that like reflect their students and expand their perspectives, especially in communities that have been affected by book bans and book challenges. So I want you to know that with each t-shirt you buy or sticker, you're putting a book in the hands of a kid who needs it, and like spreading empathy and supporting some really cool authors and librarians too. All right, enough about that. Who wants to hear about book 16? There's going to be a book 16? Did anyone? Yeah! Alright, so I'm working on it now. It's not finished, but we have announced the title. So if you guys don't know the title yet, are you ready? Yeah. It's called The Hybrid Prince. And because this is the very first Fan Wing Fest, you guys are going to be the very first people to hear some of it, because I thought I would read you a little bit. And you also get to be the first ones to find out who the main character is. I've been hinting for a while that it's a dragon we've seen before. Does anyone have any guesses? You can just shout them out. Okay. So many exciting guesses. I'm just going to tell you. It is Umber. Umber is Clay's little brother, and we last saw him at the end of book 6, fleeing Jade Mountain Academy in order to protect his sister, Sora. So in this section I'm going to read to you, Umber and Sora have flown south, and they're flying away from the continent looking for a safe place, and they've met a dragon who tells them that he can take them to a safe place. And this, what I'm going to read you, is the part where they get there. So keep in mind, some of this could still change because I'm writing it, you know, in progress. but I think this is kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen. All right. On the third day of flying, they reached an island that was much bigger than any of the ones they'd seen before. Umber couldn't see an end to it in any direction. It might as well have been as big as the continent behind them, except Mulberry assured him it was less than a quarter the size of Pyrea. They flew over rugged coastline, then a forest noisy with clicks, squawks, and howls, and finally up into a range of mountains that looked like the land had been crumpled by huge talons. These mountains weren't as tall as the claws of the clouds. The only snow was on peaks in the far distance. They were mostly brown, with scatterings of green here and there. Mulberry led them into a crevasse between mountain folds, twisting right and then left and then right again. And there at the end was a wall as tall as the mountains itself, filling the entire canyon. It was the same color as the canyon around it, a sort of rusty reddish brown, as if it had grown right out of the landscape. Square, rough-cut windows dotted the wall all the way to the top, and Umber saw curious dragon faces peeking out of several of them. At the base of the wall was an archway with no door, and standing just inside the archway was a tall statue of a dragon. No door, Umber thought, as he swooped down behind Mulberry. Then how do they seal this off when they're attacked? How do they keep out enemy dragons? Maybe they don't need one, because there are no enemy dragons here, he thought, with a weird little jump of hope in his chest. Maybe this place would be peaceful, like Jade Mountain Academy. Or like Jade Mountain Academy should have been if it weren't for Sora. The flicker of hope faded as he glanced over at his sister. Mulberry landed in front of the archway instead of flying through it, resting his talons in a scrubby patch of grass near a dried-up stream bed. Umber and Sora touched down beside him. "The Court of Refuge is through there," Mulberry said, and Umber didn't think he was imagining the thread of worry in Mulberry's voice. He definitely wasn't imagining the chorus of whispers coming from the windows overhead. Carved above the door, but scuffed, as though someone had ineffectively chiseled at it, were the words, "For the safety and protection of all." Well, that's reassuring, Umber thought, especially if all really means every dragon, no matter what they did. Suddenly, the statue in the shadow of the arch stirred, and Umber realized it wasn't a statue at all. She was an adult skywing, with dark red scales and a lean, angular face, wearing a gold circlet on her head and thin chains of gold in her ears and around her ankles. "Mulberry," she said reverently, as though his arrival was the most glorious thing that had ever happened to the world. "You found new friends for us." "This is Umber and his sister Sora," Mulberry said, "and this is my mother, Queen Beryl." He hesitated as Beryl lifted one talon toward them. "Mother, I think I should..." "Sora, what a lovely name," Beryl interrupted him. Umber's sister was already walking toward the archway, and Umber felt a shiver at the way her eyes and Beryl's were both glowing with something. "Welcome to the Court of Refuge. We're so happy you're here." "Me too," Sora said, stepping through the arch. She took Beryl's talon and dipped her head, which Mudwings normally only did for the siblings of the queen. Beryl wrapped one wing around her protectively. "How wonderful that Mulberry found you," she said to Umber. "Let me show you both around." She spread her other wing toward the light at the far end of the archway and smiled. Umber took a step forward, and Mulberry reached to catch his wrist. "Wait," Mulberry said. "Maybe this isn't..." "Mulberry?" Beryl said, in a fond but reproving tone, as though he had taken the last cookie without asking. "What is it?" Umber asked Mulberry softly. "Did you change your mind about Sora? Is she too dangerous to bring here?" "It's..." Mulberry pressed his claws into his forehead, closing his eyes. No, nothing." "Don't worry," Umber said, patting Mulberry's scales where they touched his. "If we don't fit in, or if you start to worry about her, we'll just leave. I promise we won't cause trouble." "Come on, Umber," Sora called. She was already halfway down the tunnel, light and shadow from the other side streaked across her scales. Umber clambered up the slope and stepped through the arch, following his sister like he always would. Beryl smiled down at him and rested one of her elegant red talons on his head. "Yes," she said, "so very, very happy you are here." That's it.
question that was written, which Wings of Fire character are you most like?
Well, I try to put a little piece of myself in all of the dragons, right? So there's like a little bit of me in each one of them. So Tsunami is like a bossy older sister, that's me. Starflight being a huge bookworm, Moon being like the shy new kid, that was me my whole life. But I think the one that's probably like closest to me is Sunny, because I also feel very like, come on guys, let's go save the world, let's do it, we can do it together.
Who else feels like Sunny sometimes?
Yay.
What about Tsunami? Raise your hand, Tsunami. Lori, anybody? Clay? Well, we got a lot of everybody up here. So, who is your favorite villain?
Favorite villain? That's a bit trickier, because I don't want to hang out with any of them. I mean, Darkstalker is really fun to write. Obviously, it's very complicated. And Scarlet is another one that I find really fun to write. Yeah, she's very specific in my head. Like, I understand her without wanting to be near her.
She's really scary, so you do a good job of writing for Scarlet. A little scary every time I read. How long does it take you to write one Wings of Fire book?
Well, it depends. Good question. For me, it's like once I have the idea in my head, sometimes I can write it in like 4 months. But sometimes I need a long time. Obviously, this one has taken me a while. Book 16, because I really wanted to, like, once I got to the end of book 15, I wanted to leave it in a place where I was like, if I don't have any more ideas, at least no one's going to be super sad. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, there's some things that we haven't done yet, like what happened to Umber. It's really important that we go back and figure out where Umber went and if he's okay. I also really want to introduce Sky and Peril to each other.
Well, I think I speak for everyone when we say we appreciate how long it takes because you do get everything right, every detail is accounted for. Let's hear it for her one more time, you guys. Which of the Wings of Fire series was the easiest to write? Which one flew right out of you?
Oh, probably book 5 was one that because I felt so connected to Sunny. I was like, everything that happened, I was like, well, what would I do in this situation? That's what Sunny would do. And then book 11, actually, like it took me a while to figure out the backstory of that world, but once I started writing it, like I felt very excited to share everything happening on Kantala with everybody. And also book 8, I think. Writing Carol is always really fun. She's so like, like bonkers.
That's a great answer. Will we ever see a mud-ice hybrid?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think it is okay to tell you guys that in this place that we're going in book 16, there are a lot of hybrids. It is a place where dragons have been going for safety for like many years. And so, pretty definitely, there will be a mud-ice hybrid there, yes.
Does winter ever find true love?
Such a cute question. Aww. Well, I don't know because I haven't written that yet. But I feel like he will. I think he's like on a path to becoming a better dragon all the time. Like he works on himself. He's like fairly self-aware and getting more so. I think that there are lots of dragons who would love him, but he deserves to be loved. So, so I feel like even if I never get to write that, I think we can all assume that yes, winter will find true love eventually.
What inspired you to write Wings of Fire?
Oh my gosh. So many things. First of all, I love dragons. And it's actually like someone said to me, have you ever thought about doing a whole series from the dragon's perspective? And it's like, that would be be able to fly and set things on fire whenever you feel like it. And also, like, how does it feel when these tiny little, like, sort of squirrel people show up and try to steal all your stuff? Like, of course you do. What is that like? So that was sort of where it started, just like figure out what it's like to be a dragon, like how do they tell this story? And then also I was thinking about like prophecies. I was like, well, if I'm writing a big epic prophecy, a big epic fantasy series, there should be a prophecy, but like, are we stuck with that? Because I feel sort of strongly that we do have a lot of control over our destiny, that like, there's a lot of things we can't control, we can decide what we do next, like that's up to us. And so I wanted to write a series where these little dragons are told, like, you have to be in this prophecy, and we're going to tell you what to do and how to save the world, and they're like, no. Especially Tsunami, she's like, no thank you. I will save the world my way, however I feel like it. And so exploring that idea of like, which dragons feel like they are part of this prophecy and how they want to save the world, and how I just want each dragon in the books to feel like they could save the world their own way, like even in some small way. Because I feel like that's true of people too, that like everyone is like, can help somehow.
That is a great answer too. So you touched a little bit on that, you read some books about dragons, and it was through the perspective of the scavenger. And my question is, what book series, when you were young, was your favorite?
Oh wow. I mean, so in terms of dragons, there is a trilogy by Anne McCaffrey that starts with Dragon Song. They are wonderful. I mean, I would say for most of you, read the ones for kids, not the ones for adults just yet. but the Dragon Song in particular is about a girl who like bonds with these 5 like small dragons called fire lizards. Did I say 5? I meant 9. And they follow her around everywhere, and that was like my dream as a kid. I was like, oh, I want 9 little dragons to follow me wherever I go. and then the one that I always think of is Anne of Green Gables. Because, I mean, I think that's why I'm a writer. Is like, you know, every time I go back and read that book, I think to myself, like, was I always this way, or did I become this way from reading this book? Like, because I connect to it so much. So I really love it.
That makes so much sense. So you've been very, very successful as an author. You're also on Jeopardy, so you've done a lot of things. Have you ever experienced writer's block? And if so, what advice do you have for future storytellers to get past writer's block?
Yeah, absolutely. How many of you have experienced writer's block? But yeah, okay, so see, it's super normal. I think it happens to everybody. For me, there's a few different kinds. There's like, oh, I'm having trouble just sitting down at my computer and getting started today, or I'm like, I could do this instead or that instead. And then there's the kind where you're like in the middle of the story and you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do next. I'm not sure what the next thing should be. So for that kind, what I often do is I have a separate document on my computer that I call my writing log, where I go to sort of get myself started or to work through problems. And it's kind of like my complaint journal, where I just open it up and I'm like, why isn't it working? I don't understand. Like, why is the story stuck? What should happen next? There's a lot of book 9 for writing logs because Turtle like really did not want to save the world. And I'm like, buddy, it's your book. You really have to. And he goes, what if I stayed under a rock and you save the world? And I'm like, well, she can help, but you have to be there. So there's a lot of in my writing log being like, come on, Turtle, how do I get him to make a decision here? How do I understand him better? So I find it really helpful because it's still writing, you know, it's like it's getting my hands moving and my brain thinking. And so and it's also like having a writing group or like a partner to talk to, which I've done as well. And I find that really helpful to like talk through what I'm trying to figure out with somebody else.
That is a great answer. So you already confirmed Sky and Peril might meet one day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other things you can say in a synopsis of where you plan to take the series next? And you can tell us without spoiling anything.
What am I allowed to say?
Is it too difficult? We want to keep it a secret? That's okay.
I mean, I think so. What you've seen is like it's Umber's perspective. That character I mentioned, Mulberry, is very important. to this, to what's going to happen in this book. And that's not very helpful. I think that's probably all I'm allowed to say.
Confidential.
Yeah.
That's okay, Tui. We got one more question because I know you got to go and take some more photos. What is it like to experience our inaugural Fan Week Fest? How is it like to be here and see the faces of all of your fans? Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling today.
Oh my gosh, like so excited and overwhelmed and just like, it's amazing. I love you guys so much.